welcome to our trip to the West Coast. We stayed one night in Vegas when we flew in at the Excalibur. The girls enjoyed that it was a huge castle we stayed in, but even though we were in a non-smoking room, it smelled like smoke and there was a line to get in the pool. We quickly headed towards Zion, which was a completely different experience. Staying at Zion Mountain Ranch was definitely one of the hugest highlights of our trip. Not only was there this fabulous view, but there were animals all over, like these baby bison. There were chickens and bunnies that the girls got to interact with, and it really felt like you were out in nature. There was really so much more we could have done there. There was a farm-to-table restaurant and a nightly campfire, which we really enjoyed. Hiking Zion was an experience our girls will never forget, and they've got to talk about it in school already so many times. I will give you a heads up that if you're walking in the water at all, make sure you check out the toxic bacteria blooms ahead of time. We saw a sign after we walked in the water that it shouldn't touch your skin that day. Just giving you a heads up so you don't make the same mistake I made. Do you love traveling like us but not doing all the research for it? Hey, we'd love for you to subscribe and get more tips that we learn while we travel. It's fun to share with each other. In the Bryce area, our girls clearly had a great time at Ruby's Inn. While checking out the area, you'll see these really cool nature sculptures. They're called hoodoos, and they're actually formed from weathering and erosion that sculpt these out naturally. I will say we were there in August, and to start the day, it will be very cold, and by the time we got halfway through a hike, it will be very warm. So layers, layers, layers. And of course, fabulous comfy shoes and water bottles with you at all times make for a much more pleasant day. Not to mention snacks in the mama's pockets. You absolutely need snacks with you to help them go. After exploring Bryce, we headed towards Arizona, more specifically, the Grand Canyon. Friends of ours who are local to the area gave the girls the coolest unveil experience to see the Grand Canyon. They blindfolded them and guided them there so they could see it all at once instead of slowly coming across it. Highly recommend this experience. Those kind friends invited us to stay with them at the Wyndham in Sedona, which was a very cool way to stay there. This is how Andy kept our youngest one occupied so I could get a workout in. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. We headed back to Vegas to catch our plane home and took a stop at Circus, which is an indoor amusement park. The girls thought it was a pretty perfect way to end this vacation. We also caught a quick show in the hotel while we were walking through. Pretty cool experience. Overall, I'm going to admit that the traveling was a little hard on our girls. Lots of driving, and we could have used some more downtime at each spot to help them recoup and enjoy more. I will say a month out from the trip, they had nothing but beautiful memories though, and they really just remembered seeing all these very cool places. To plan it again, my number one change would be to stay longer at Zion Mountain Ranch. Most of all, I hope you found something I shared helpful. Go ahead and subscribe and say hi in the comments if you haven't yet. Thanks so much.